Hello everyone.
It's gotta be an centralized.
People went to the Bahamas for a vacation and unexpectedly got to witness a SpaceX rocket launch. Birds take a risk every time they perch on power lines, and this footage from Mexico shows why. An overloaded power line caused a flock of thrushes to plummet to the ground. The scene was so shocking that people called in experts and the police. Have you ever heard of fish raining from the sky? Believe it or not, this bizarre phenomenon actually happens several times a year. In Honduras, this happens quite regularly. Scientists suggest it could be caused by strong winds or tornadoes that carry fish onto land. It's also possible that fish travel through underwater caves and are washed out by heavy rains. Either way, seeing a live fish in the middle of a city is a rare sight. There are only about 800 mud volcanoes on Earth. They form only under very specific geological conditions, and Malaysia happens to have them. A crustal depression, underground water, and the presence of oil and gas in the soil all combine to create these rare wonders. This was just the third eruption in the volcano's history, and some lucky tourists got to witness it in person. On September the 24th, 2025 in Bangkok, cameras captured a shocking scene. Out of nowhere, a sinkhole appeared on a city street, measuring 27 meters wide and almost 50 meters deep. The cause was a botched metro construction project. The abrupt cave-in tore down power lines and damaged a water pipe, a scene as frightening as it gets. Arachnophobes, brace yourselves. Your worst nightmares have come to life. Rising water in a nearby creek drove thousands of spiders into the garden of a man in New South Wales, Australia. He didn't notice it at first, but one day he woke up to find his entire garden covered in webs. You could safely say it's now their garden. A nightmare for anyone afraid of insects. In the spring of 2016, several regions of Madagascar were overrun by locusts. There were so many larvae that when they hatched, they swarmed everything in sight. Local authorities had to launch a massive campaign to control the insects and reduce the locust population.
Oh my God.
Wow. Oh my God. Oh my Lord. Holy, that is a giant shooting star.
This guy has no idea how wrong he is. On March the 25th, 2021, many people in Oregon genuinely thought they were witnessing falling stars. What actually happened was that a Falcon 9 rocket had re-entered the atmosphere after failing to leave orbit. About a month after the launch, debris from the rocket started falling to the ground, making everyone think they were seeing a meteor shower.
Mom, Dad. Mom. Dad. Mom.
People in China captured a real-life miracle on camera. It's a rare sight that not everyone gets to witness. The sun needs to be at least 58 degrees above the horizon. There must be cirrus clouds filled with ice crystals, and sunlight has to hit them at just the right angle. When all these factors come together, the result is truly stunning. It looks like the cliff's about to collapse on people. But that's not the case. After heavy rains, water mixes with the rock, and the high oxide content creates a rusty stain on the surface, giving the illusion of a bleeding rock. What's the strangest thing you might find on a runway? In Florida, it's an alligator. Locals say it's not uncommon at all. On April the 22nd, 2024, wildlife officers captured a 10-foot-long specimen. Remember, when fish start leaping out of the water erratically, it's usually a bad sign. Residents of Yunnan province in China thought it might signal an earthquake or an underwater electrical leak. The actual reason, however, was high chemical contamination in the lake, leaving the fish struggling to breathe and leaping for oxygen. Never before had people witnessed killer whales up close without going into the water. On February the 19th, 2025, one of Tasmania's beaches in Australia was the scene of an incredible event. Over 150 orcas were stranded on the shore at the same time. The rescue took longer than expected because the beach was hard to reach, but the majority of the killer whales were ultimately rescued. Welcome to the Wild West, where tumbleweeds don't just grow in the desert, they take over everything around them. Essentially, this plant is just a common weed. Every year it spreads further and further, and once it became such a problem that it nearly paralyzed a small California town, blocking almost every road. This isn't the apocalypse, it's San Francisco on September the 9th, 2020.
Subscribe to our podcast, visit kqed.org/forum. And for the latest updates, Jeff, Zillow, but we're going to continue, Jeff Tucker.
Over 2 million acres of land near the city were destroyed by wildfires. The smoke that filled the air blocked the blue part of the spectrum, casting the land in warm colors. The people spent the entire day without sunlight, living under a bright orange sky. Since emperor penguins are found only in Antarctica, an Australian family was shocked to see one on a nearby beach.
Wow. Oh, she? Wow. Are you a little lost? Yeah. Hello. Yeah, you're lost. Oh,
The penguin had made an incredible 3,400-kilometer journey to reach that spot. Scientists say this individual now holds the record for the longest trip ever recorded for an emperor penguin.
we found at the beach today, kids. He is almost as big as you guys. Wow. Oh, she?
Since 2019, Egypt has had a law prohibiting people from climbing the pyramids in Giza. Offenders may be fined, deported, or denied entry to the country. However, these rules only apply to humans.
some scary get the here.
Here it is, black gold. A group of men in Algeria were searching for water in the middle of the desert, but they stumbled upon something even more unusual. Suddenly, instead of water, oil started gushing out. Unfortunately, they weren't thrilled by this discovery. Algeria ranks 16th in the world for oil reserves, but water is much harder to come by. Plain water would have been a far more welcome discovery.
حوالي 21 متر الارتفاع ما بين البركة والكاميون ودركورور.
At first glance, it looks eerie. Strange worms that seem to be performing a ritual. But there's a simple explanation.
It looks like a necklace or something. Like a shiny necklace.
That's disgusting.
These are mosquito larvae moving together in a line. Sometimes the group can get tangled and form a circle, making them look like an alien organism. Yes, that's a fish crossing the road. In Mason County, USA, locals are used to it. The road happens to run between rivers where salmon live. The fish regularly migrate from one waterway to another, and have learned that during floods they can simply swim across the road. The beach of Minorca looked like this when hundreds of thousands of jellyfish swarmed its shores. Fortunately, they're completely harmless to humans, but still, no one dared to step into the water. Turns out that a deer circle dance isn't just a dance. The animals do this when they feel anxious. Walking in a circle helps them calm down, and they keep moving until the herd leader signals it's time to stop. This circular formation can also protect weaker members, placing them in the center where they're safe from predators. A real hole in the sky. This can happen when the temperature of the water in clouds drops sharply, but the water doesn't freeze immediately, forming ice crystals. The surrounding water droplets start to evaporate, creating a hole in the sky. Such gaps only appear in clouds and don't always form a perfect circle. Storms can be beautiful too. This time-lapse from Arizona proves it. The summer monsoon sweeps in with wind, rain, and flashes of lightning. Being caught in the middle of it isn't nearly as enjoyable as watching from afar. Many believe that rainfall is a blessing in the desert. However, when torrential rains continue for over 2 weeks, the desert transforms into this. Tropical downpours have caused flooding in a mountain range in Libya. Water rushed downhill, carrying sand and small rocks, making the flood even more dangerous. For turtles, winter and frozen rivers aren't much of a problem. Some can spend the entire season beneath the ice. Turtles have an incredible ability to slow down their metabolism. The colder it gets, the less energy and oxygen they need. They survive by tapping into stored energy and the oxygen in the water, managing perfectly fine without breathing through their lungs. When the sun is low and its light filters through rain clouds, the rays bend and scatter in a way that can turn the sky green. Our eyes perceive colors based on light wavelengths, and a surplus of green can create a sky that looks almost otherworldly. Can you see this? It turns out nature can create mysterious portraits too, right above us, using clouds as its canvas.
Реально слоёное небо. Точно, сиська.
Scenes like these are a clear sign that an earthquake happened here. During earthquakes, soil often becomes liquefied. The ground loses its structure and can no longer hold water, behaving more like a liquid. This process can push significant amounts of water up to the surface. This is what the instinct to follow the herd can lead to. But that's just one explanation for why sheep start walking in circles. It can also be caused by spending too much time in a pen, or even a random infection that affects the nervous system. Still, in most cases it's just their natural urge to mimic their peers. At first glance, you wouldn't even realize there's snow here. The wind has covered it with a new blanket of sand. You definitely don't want to get too close to a mud volcano like this. While these eruptions happen only a few times a year, each time they amaze the people of Taiwan, especially when flames and flammable gases flare up amid the bubbling mud. The fiery spring isn't just a legend, it's real, and it can be found in a province of China. At first glance, it looks like an ordinary spring, but if you bring a flame close to its water, it bursts into fire. Deep beneath the surface, natural gas seeps upward through cracks along with the spring water. It's still flammable when it comes into contact with water, creating the illusion of a spring that's simultaneously flowing and burning, a stunning balance of two elements.
Что там варят? Что это в планету идет куда-то?
A chimney can leave a contrail too. As water vapor condenses, it leaves a neat line of small droplets in the sky. The wind turned this Indian waterfall into a barrier, blocking the road and frightening every driver.
I got that one.
Doesn't this moss look a bit strange? Well, it's not actually moss. These arachnids are called harvestmen. They're known for having legs that are disproportionately long compared to their bodies. Unlike spiders, they can't spin webs because they lack the necessary glands. Harvestmen often gather in groups for safety, making them look more like a soft clump than a bunch of tiny spiders. A living statue in nature. To humans, it seems strange and mysterious, but to ants, it's just a survival strategy. Since they build their nests underground, floods force them to the surface. In response, ants gather the entire colony and form a living raft on the water. This allows them to survive for weeks until the water level drops. The people inside the house started hearing strange noises coming from the roof and decided to investigate. They were in for a surprise. Under the shingles, they discovered dozens of bats. It turned out a whole colony had made its home there, nesting in the small crevices of the roof. Had they waited any longer, the bats might have ended up taking over the house.
¿Alguien sabe qué está pasando en el río Rima?
The most massive and dramatic clouds are known as mammatus. They get their name from their unusual shape, which resembles an udder. These clouds form when descending cold air meets warmer layers of the troposphere, creating uneven, lumpy cells in the sky. Mammatus clouds are always a sign of an approaching storm or thunderstorm, so it's best to admire them from indoors. This isn't just a natural spring, it's a fountain of vitamins. This video was filmed in Azerbaijan near a mineral water spring. The water emerges from the ground already warm, almost 60 degrees Celsius. Though invisible to the eye, it's rich in magnesium, iron, phosphorus, iodine, zinc, and other beneficial minerals, a true source of vitality.
Hello, 2, shields and harness jackets. If you can come out of the shop, please, or take your harness jackets off out of the way, please, that would be very appreciated. The two stewards with the harness jackets on, please move out before the shop. Thank you.
Aliens had nothing to do with this. Farmers on the Canary Islands shaped the landscape themselves, building crescent-shaped stone walls to shield their crops from harsh winds. The volcanic ash on the ground helps retain moisture. What was once considered poor farmland now produces grapes for excellent wine. Instead of wasting time on going around obstacles, ants have found an easier way. An ant reaches the edge, holds on firmly, and dangles over the void. Others latch onto it one by one until a living bridge is formed. This clever strategy shows just how skilled ants are at building.
Pool. Here, my river. Masai Mara. There goes a hippo out of water.
The perfect beach to go to after dark. Only in summer and early autumn can you witness a rare phenomenon on the beaches of Pingtan Island in China, bioluminescence. This glowing blue light comes from tiny microorganisms living in the sea. When disturbed, they emit flashes of light, and since there are millions of plankton in the water, the glow becomes truly spectacular.